Was very down on before the draft, and I thought was excellent this weekend. J.J. McCarthy, 11 for 17, $188, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but it didn't seem to let it faze him. Listen, my dear friend, face of the network, Colin Cowherd, is high on Sam Darnold in Minnesota. I happen to think Colin's Sam Darnold love affair is on his Mount Rushmore of wrong takes. I don't get that one at all. I also, if JJ can look like this, I would be fine starting him because I know the book is written and on the shelf on Sam Darnold. I feel like we know who he is. Coach, who do you think should start in week 1?
They're going to have to give this some more time, and the rookie's going to have to be indisputably better than Sam Darnold. And it's not like they have an easy schedule either. They've got a pretty tough schedule, and it's a lot easier now to go to the second quarterback than it is to pull the rookie out and have to go to Sam Darnold. So
Schedule's up there.
Yeah,
you could do it at the bye, I suppose.
The Texans, Green Bay, the Jets. Yeah, maybe you let that early part play out with Sam Darnold. Give McCarthy some more time, unless...
I want to pause real fast. This is a brutal schedule. The 49ers, the Texans, the Packers. The Jets are going to be a coin flip. Is Aaron Rodgers healthy? Are they going? What's-his-face just requested a trade. Who really knows? But let's just say that defense should still be pretty legit, right? The Lions, the Rams, and then you finally maybe get some games where you're like, okay, we can maybe get some momentum going, but who knows? Because the Colts could be firing at all cylinders. The Jaguars could be firing all cylinders. I don't really have a whole much belief in the Titans. The Bears should be, I know Minnesota Viking fans don't want to hear it, but the Bears should be legitimately, going off at all cylinders. So this is a brutal schedule. Make no mistake about it. It's a legitimately brutal schedule.
Unless, as the rest of the preseason goes on, you're sitting there as a coaching staff saying, this guy's got to play.
Yeah, you got to start Sam Darnold. You guys know how I feel. Look, watching this game, and I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan. He didn't start off the way those numbers ended up.
Yeah,
that's great. He came out in the second half, kind of calmed down a little bit, and then got a couple big throws, a couple touchdowns, and it looked great afterwards. But that was not how the game started. It looked a little shaky, which you expect out of a rookie, which is why you have a veteran in front of him to kind of settle the waters, to kind of hold down the fort until he's ready to go. I don't know if he's ready to go just yet. Does he have the ability? Yeah, we see that. He has the ability, but you got to be able to put all of it together when it counts, and you can't just roll somebody out there and hope, okay, hopefully he can put it all together now. No, it doesn't work that way in the National Football League.
And a bunch of those guys that are playing that second half will not be playing.
Exactly.
No, that's totally fair. Also, obviously, Justin Jefferson's not out there for him. You know, he's playing with 2s and 3s as well. Also, my other takeaway from this game is I am selling Justin Herbert fantasy stock. We don't talk fantasy on this show, but I just will for a moment, because a huge part of my feelings on J.J. McCarthy was Jim Harbaugh clearly didn't really trust him. You can say all these things about him. I watched Michigan. They just ran the ball every time. If J.J. McCarthy's legit good and Harbaugh was still just like, no, we're running the damn football the way I was taught, I just feel like it's a Gus Edwards team with the 2 tackles, and poor Justin Herbert's going to be 17 of 22 a bunch of games for not a lot of yards. All right, let's be willing.
Okay, first off, Patrick Mahomes has won Super Bowls only throwing the ball like 22 times. So what are you talking about? Sometimes that is the way the game is operated. Sometimes that is how the team is constructed. What Harbaugh did with J.J. McCarthy was put J.J. McCarthy in the best possible position to succeed and to have his team succeed, more importantly, which was, pretty sure they won a national championship. So it's not a matter of him not trusting J.J. McCarthy or just not knowing how to operate. It's just so dumb, because if they didn't win a national championship, then you could make the argument. But look at Patrick Mahomes last season. If we just use that as a snapshot, you could say Andy Reid didn't trust Patrick Mahomes to stretch the field and to go down. He just didn't trust Patrick Mahomes. We obviously know that's not the case. So we can't just look at some of these things on the surface. It's not how it works. But okay, let's focus on the Vikings. I just had to get that in there. I agree with what Greg Jennings is saying, and Mangini. Surprise, surprise, I'm disagreeing with with Nick Wright. I think JJ McCarthy, I almost said JJ Redick. JJ McCarthy showed a tremendous amount of poise and confidence. And I'm excited. I made a whole video about what I think he showed. And I'm a firm believer that JJ McCarthy can have tremendous amount of success. And I really wholeheartedly believe in the duo of him and their coach, Kevin O'Connell. 1,000%. I'm trying to emphasize this so much because this show does not emphasize it. A few other shows has. And so, it all depends on what type of fan you are. Kevin O'Connell is absolutely, positively legit. He is a top offensive coach in the NFL. Top coach. That is the beautiful luxury that you have because he's also very grounded and not emotional. So he's not going to rush out JJ McCarthy. Just because that was an exciting debut doesn't mean that he's going to rush out McCarthy. And that's smart. McCarthy's 21 years old. The guy is literally still going through puberty. I'm being serious. It's not a joke. That's what happens. You think like, oh, you hit puberty when you're in like high school, whatever, and like you're done. No. His body is still literally growing. His bone density is still getting harder. His muscles are still starting to be developed. He is a boy. He is a boy. That's a fact. Just look at him. It's not up for debate. Just look at him. Okay? That is arguably the biggest reason why you sit these young quarterbacks for a year. Just at the very minimum, you let their body and their mind, your brain is still developing up until you're like 26, 27, 28. It's still maturing. Your ability to assess risk, which is incredibly important when you're a quarterback. Although when we look at this, it's usually when we look at, your ability to assess risk in terms of like jumping out of a car, or when you were younger, did you do this where you like jumped a flight of stairs, right? I used to do that all the time when I was a kid. You would like try to jump as many stairs as you can. And now I look at stairs and I'm like, are you serious? Why would I ever do that? It's because your ability to assess risk is actually just not developed. So that's why you make so many mistakes. That's why when you're young, you actually kind of put yourself in situations to get badly hurt. And as you get older, you're able to assess that risk. That also does happen in the NFL because there's just different dimensions of risk. Obviously, some is life and death, and some is just a terrible throw in an NFL game. So it's obviously there's a spectrum here. So just even giving him time to develop and mature as just a physical human being is already tremendously beneficial. Not to mention, obviously, what he would learn. He could learn a tremendous amount from just Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold. Now, he has the luxury of coming from Harbaugh. If he maybe came from a different type of coach, then I would say he absolutely positively should sit. But he had to have learned and really absorbed a tremendous amount from Harbaugh. It'd be hard for me to believe not. But I do think Kevin O'Connell, being much more offense and quarterback driven, that he will be able to develop JJ McCarthy even more. But again, think about if you had a great teacher in anything that you're pretty good at. If you finally found a great teacher or a great coach, when would you be better? When would you be in the best spot to succeed? Having him as your teacher or coach for a couple months, or having him for an entire year where there's no pressure to compete, there's no pressure to perform. You get to just learn and grow and make your mistakes in a very controlled, bubble-like environment. The answer is obvious. It's what they do with doctors. It's what they do with lawyers. It's what they do with soldiers. It's what they do with all the important jobs, professions, however you want to define it. So it's beneficial to do for a quarterback. Someone said, I don't understand, JJ McCarthy's the guy, why delay the inevitable? And it's like, because you're putting him in a better situation to succeed. He jumps out in that schedule, going up against the 49ers, the Texans, the Packers, that Jets defense, the Lions, the Rams. I mean, like, you can set him up to get punched in the face. And I'm on the record saying it's important for these quarterbacks to get punched in the face. But you want to teach them a right hook before you just let them just have their arms hanging down and just get walloped. It needs to be a little bit more balanced. Sam Darnold can take it and can handle it. And I think Sam Darnold will be a legitimate. I don't think the book is written on Sam Darnold. I do not think that's fair. We have plenty. He has had no consistency in his NFL journey. I mean, he was with the Jets, who were just all over the place. With the Panthers, all over the place, okay? And then who wanted him? Shanahan. Shanahan made sure to go out and got him. And it's important. It was important for the 49ers to have a legitimate, bona fide backup quarterback. They got a front row seat as to how important that is. And because of that, they got Sam Darnold. That already speaks volumes. And what he did, even in the limited time with 49ers, I think he looked great. I really do. When he was also at least actually playing with actual starters and not in a throwaway game, he did look more composed. And it's hard to just get thrown into a game like that. It really is. So I think Sam Darnold could have tremendous success with the Vikings. It takes the pressure off of JJ. It gives the team some stability and some veteranship, which some a veteran leadership, which matters. I think the Vikings have a very complete team. If you guys heard my other video about the Vikings with Mark Sanchez on the herd, like Mark Sanchez believes that this team is ready to win now, that they are just a quarterback away. So again, if JJ McCarthy is truly ready, well then that's exciting. But if you want to kind of hold him back a little bit, I think you just really can't go wrong with Sam Darnold. I really think that there's nothing wrong with that. Not to mention, because let's say the season ends up kind of not working out too well. And now it's like obvious that the Vikings aren't going to be fighting maybe for a playoff spot or a division or whatever. And now you could maybe start, if you want, I don't think it's necessary, but maybe you do. You start JJ in that second half of the season and it's like, hey man, it doesn't matter what happens here. We're just going to work on, X, Y, and Z. We're not, we're just going to work on some stuff. This is just going to be a next level practice. Then you kind of take the pressure off him a little bit. And if he throws a couple interceptions or has a bad game or two, like it doesn't matter as much. It matters tremendously in week 1 because in week 1, right, everyone has a 0-0 record. Everyone believes in the potential. So it does hit differently. I'm not a fan of starting a quarterback late in the season like that or starting him in the second half. I think you're more often than not setting your quarterback up to fail, which is why I'm a firm believer in you either sit him for the year or you don't. I think that, and I think it's very clear. You say, JJ, you're unbelievable. You're the future, but you're going to be sitting this year. You're just going to soak up everything from Sam Darnold. You're going to soak up everything of game days on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, any other days they're playing these days. That's what you do. I think it's very clear, and it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. And we know the Vikings believe in Sam Darnold. They paid for him. They went out and got him. And I think it was a smart move by them. I really, really do. The smart coaches make the smart decisions. So it's just, I think that the Vikings can surprise a lot of people with Sam Darnold, and there need not be all of this extra pressure and urgency on JJ McCarthy. I don't think you need to heap all that urgency on 21-year-old JJ McCarthy. In fact, his knee's already messed up. I'm not sure exactly what happened. They've already held him out of practice, which, those things can just happen. But again, it's just like take things slow, let him develop, let him work out with world-class strength and conditioning coaches. I know Michigan probably has great strength and conditioning coaches, but the NFL should be more elite. Just all those little things. The food, the dedication. You're actually finally, for the first time, a legitimate, full-time, 100% all-in football. Where in college, you still have to kind of deal with the nonsense of college. Just let JJ McCarthy come up. Just take your time. You do not need to rush it. If you truly believe that JJ is your future, it'll be here tomorrow. You don't have to just be obsessed with right now because you're focused on not only today, but also next year, the year after, and the year after. You're trying to build something special. You're not trying to just quickly grab a quarterback and just go. And I think that is largely the difference. So I think Sam Darnold will be poised to start, and I would be surprised if he didn't at this point, quite frankly. But you never know. Honestly, you never know. There seems sometimes to be a lot of pressure to get these young quarterbacks up and going right away. But I think since they paid Sam Darnold the amount of money they did, and relatively speaking, it's not that much, but it is a chunk of change for a backup quarterback, I think they don't want that money to go to complete waste. And unfortunately, that is how a lot of decisions are still made in the NFL. Whether it's $5 million, $10 million, or $65 million, it's still something that no one likes to waste money, even if it is just, a few $1,000,000. So I think at the very least, you're going to have Sam Darnold start the first few games. And depending on how those games go, then maybe they decide to throw in JJ. But if he's successful, then of course there's no reason to kind of change that. So I'm interested to see how it all unfolds and who finally gets a starting position. But my money's on Sam Darnold. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Who do you think should start week 1? Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy? And what did you think of J.J. McCarthy's preseason debut? Any big takeaways? Do you think it was legit? Do you think there's not much to take away? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.